I'm going to clean this up in the parts washer real quick, and then I'm going to run that tube on the wire wheel here. Okay, so I clean these up in the parts washer, and I'm gonna get down in there and clean that just a little bit more. I want to show you the inside there. It's kind of got a little bit of pit into it. I'll probably put some type of sealant on it, and see if you can see that. That's got some pitting on it. Have to put some kind of sealant on that just to make sure. Now, it's really hard for me to take stuff like this apart and not thoroughly clean it, degrease it, and I'm gonna wind up go ahead and painting this. That's the old restoration guy in me. I started out, one of my first major jobs was restoring Jaguars, and basically we took everything apart, cleaned it, painted it, made it like new. So whenever I take something apart, I like to clean it up. Okay, we got the ends taped off, and you want to make sure that you don't get no paint on the inside of those seals. And we're just gonna clean this with some brake cleaner real quick, because it's loaded with oil. As you can see, that's the stuff we're getting off. You don't want to seal that crap in with the paint, so give it a good blast, hose it down. Make sure all that brake cleaner is dry before you paint it. Okay, so we're going to be spraying some of this orange Rust-Oleum. I like this paint, it's pretty good. And when you're painting, the first coat, don't even worry about covering all. Just get something on there so that the next coat has something to stick to. It's raining, so I'm gonna pull this in a little bit. And we're just gonna hit that a little bit more right there. Now you can see it's all blotchy because we don't want to get no runs. This part ain't really important though. It's better to give it 3 or 4 small coats like this than one massive coat and have the shit running everywhere and doesn't dry right. Okay, while the paint's drying, we're going to inspect the other half back there. Now, I did get a seal for that, but I'm not going to pull that off unless I absolutely think it needs it. I'm just going to get up there, clean it up with some rags and maybe some sandpaper. And then we're going to pull that seal and or that gasket and then clean all that up and get it ready for the new one. Okay, so I cleaned it up the best I can. I did a little 220 sandpaper and a couple rags and some carbon choke cleaner, and then cleaned that the best I could. I'll clean that up again right before I put the thing on, and then I noticed that white stuff on the exhaust. Pretty sure they're leaking like crazy, so that's going to be another project we're going to do one day. I don't have the money to do everything all at once, but we'll take care of things one at a time as they come. Alright, this is where we're at. I got everything cleaned up, and I just wanted to go over all the tools I've used so far and what it's going to take to actually do this job. So first of all, get your right seals. First time I bought them, they didn't come with these gaskets, and it actually comes with 2 of these, one for the other side, but I'm not going to get into that. Make sure you get your gaskets. I think this kit was like 15 bucks or less than that, 12 bucks, something like that. I got some of this because of the pitting that's on there. A filter I think is like 10 bucks, 15 bucks. This was like 70, and these were like 13 a piece. You're gonna need 2 gallons of coolant. I always get 5 gallons when I change my oil. And then, you know, I had the brake cleaner and stuff. I think everything to do the job is about 120 bucks. If you, in parts, if you do it yourself. Okay, and these are the tools I needed. I got 11 millimeter and a 10 millimeter and an extension, a ratchet. I used a breaker bar and an impact to take my wheel off. That's not really necessary. Some sort of adjustable wrench for that, or the right size wrench. Flat screwdriver, a thing to take the oil filter out. And basically you take these out first. And then that's not necessary to take out. I took it out because I like to polish that brass. And then this thing just pops right apart. Okay, I got it back together. I actually used a strap to pull it in. I tried using that clamp, but it just didn't have enough strength. So what I did here is, on this side, I used just red grease, one to lubricate it, and it won't bother nothing if it gets in the oil. And on this side, on the water side, I used a little bit of silicone, covered up all them pitted, and then I used just a thin coat just to basically hold that in place and give it a little extra. And we're gonna go sneak this in there, and hopefully it doesn't leak. Okay, so we got her back in, and I got it plugged in, and I just want to show you. All I did is I put it back up in there. I was careful not to get grease on everything, and then I just took a pry bar and pried it off the manifold. It popped right in. A little bit of wiggling, and then the 3 10 millimeter bolts, and then I made sure that the gasket was right. And now I'm going to have to degrease and paint the rest of the truck to match those. So what we're going to do now is drain the oil and put this thing back together. So while the oil's draining out of the bottom of the block, I'm going to show you how, if you're lazy like me and don't want to spill oil out of this 5-gallon container, you just lean it on its side like this, get your container, and then just roll it until you get a good flow. So I always like to fill my oil filters with oil. What I also like to do is put them back in the boxes facing up. It kind of helps it stay up. And you can fill it up with oil, and then it'll creep back down. I just keep filling it. And see, that box has helped holding it up. Okay, everything's back together. What I'm going to do now is fill it up with oil and fill up the coolant and start it up. You don't have to pull the tire off, but I did. And there it is installed. And I'm about to start it up. Hopefully it ain't got no leaks. Okay, we got it running. So far it looks good. Normally when I first started up, it was just pouring out oil. We're going to have to put the wheel back on and then take it for a ride. Well, after about 10 minutes of it running out here, I started noticing it leaking oil. But it's not coming from the oil cooler. It's coming from up here somewhere. I'm going to pull it back in and see where that's coming from, because I pressure cleaned all that out yesterday. It'll be pretty easy to find. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I located the oil leak. There is a bolt straight down there. You can just barely see it past that black piece right there. So what I'm going to do is try to put a wrench on it and tighten it. That ball right down there was leaking. Put a socket on it, tighten it up. Seems like it's doing alright now. Keep an eye on it. only got that one drop, which I think was there when I was up there messing around. We're gonna wipe that away. Let this run for a while. I think we might have got it. That's looking really good over there. Give it about 10 minutes, see what happens. So I'm letting the truck run in the shop for a little bit to check the oil. I just wanted to show you what I do. You don't want to fume yourself out, so I took a dryer exhaust thing and I ran it out, put a little pipe, piece of scrap on it, and I also got my big fan here sucking the air out. You don't want to fumigate yourself. Cold start the next day, and other than a couple little spots from just dripping off the truck, we're good to go. I'll go ahead and pressure clean underneath this whole thing. That way we're not dripping on